my journey to where I am now began long before going to SUNY Purchase as a theater arts student. And that experience with the Bread and Puppet Theater, experiences with a small community theater up in Brattleboro, Vermont, where my mother had taken my brother and I after the inevitable divorce. So there had been steps along the way that kept opening a door that said acting, which is when I was living in Oklahoma, working in a gas station. My dad applied to SUNY Purchase for me. I don't remember filling out a single form, writing an essay, nothing. And then I had an announcement that I was due to come to the auditions for SUNY Purchase for theater arts students. An audition was also required. I did do the auditions and was accepted to SUNY Purchase, where I went for about 2.5 years. I never really had gone to much school after about 7th grade. So the small amount of academic work at SUNY Purchase was beyond my comprehension. But I did very well in the theater arts programs, the voice, the speech, the acting classes. And eventually I decided I would leave SUNY Purchase long before graduation, because graduation would be years away for this one. I went down to New York City, and primarily because of my acting teacher at SUNY Purchase, Joan Potter, I wandered onto 44th Street and into the Actors Studio. Not the Actors Studio school, not the Actors Studio inside the Actors Studio, interviewing the Simpsons. No, the original Actors Studio on West 44th Street in Manhattan. And I wandered in there in a different era. As you get older, you begin to realize things change. And I volunteered, basically. I became a observer, not a member, but an observer. So I was allowed to attend the sessions. So I did not go to acting classes. I did not have a coach in New York, but I did become eventually a member of the Actors Studio. It's a lifetime membership. I'm still a member. I don't participate so much anymore because it seems that it too has moved a little too far into the modern age for me. I'm quite old-fashioned about a lot of things. So I had that as something to sort of go and do with my days. And I would go to the Actors Studio and I would try and earn a living. I was sort of kind of a waitress. I was a terrible waitress. And I would go to auditions. I would go to any audition I could find. I believe they still publish Backstage. I don't know what it looks like today, but I would go through Backstage and find the auditions that had even a iota of, whether the part said, young 20s or it said 20 to 50, I would go. Female, I would go. Sometimes even male, I would go see if I could get in. Just to act, to have a chance to act. So I think it was a asset to me in getting work eventually. I wasn't fearful of auditions. It was simply something that this actor did with her days. And so when the really important auditions came along, it was no more important than the nonsense audition that I had been to 2 days previously. And eventually I began landing work, and eventually I landed a manager who in his day and time was the person to land in New York City, a man by the name of Bill Tresh, who kind of invented the modern day management system. Almost any actor today has a manager. Back then it was very unusual, especially for workaday actors like myself, to have a manager. My relationship with Bill Tresh changed a lot of things. I can remember distinctly walking into the first audition he had arranged for me to go to. There was a modicum of respect as I entered the room. It wasn't just a gained respect after I had done the reading, which had happened quite a bit up to that point. Um, and I think the shortest way to answer the owner's question is I worked because I had to work. Um, it's what I'm meant to be doing. It's not big headed of me. It's simply what I find to be the truth.